Did you know that most of the Bible was originally written in Hebrew? So when people gave God names based on who they saw him to be and who they knew him to be, they were in Hebrew. We see names like Yahweh Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. Whoever gave this name to God knew that God is the God of victory. Another name is El Roi, which is the God who sees me. Whoever gives this name to the Lord knows that they see them no matter what circumstance they're in. Another name is Yahweh Yireh. This name means the Lord will provide. Whoever gives this name to the Lord understands that God will provide our every need, no matter what we have or don't have. He sees us and he will provide. Now I'm going to tell you 3 stories, and I want you to try and figure out what name they gave God, based on who he was and who they saw him to be. Our first story is the story of Hagar. Now Hagar was a servant, and her mistress Sarah were very unhappy with each other. Things got so bad that Hagar ran out into the wilderness and began to cry. But an angel of the Lord met her there and said, "The Lord has heard your cry of distress." And he blessed her and he asked her to go back home. You see, the Lord saw her where she was at and met her there. What name do you think Hagar gave God? El Roi, the God who sees me. Our second story is the story of Abraham. You see, God made a promise to Abraham that he would have a child. And only 25 years later, when Abraham was 100 years old, was his son Isaac born. God then said to Abraham, "Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering." You see, Abraham had faith that God would provide, and so he faithfully prepared to do what God had asked him to do. God saw that Abraham trusted him with his whole heart and instead provided a ram for the offering. What name do you think Abraham gave God? Yahweh Yireh, the Lord will provide. Our last story is the story of Moses and Joshua. You see, Moses was leading the Israelites through the wilderness, and they were about to be attacked the next day. And so Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand." The staff had been used before to show God's power. So the next day, when Moses climbed up the hill, when he held up that staff, he was declaring that this battle was the Lord's. And they won! This was not by their own strength, but by God's power. What name do you think they gave God? Yahweh Nissi, the Lord is my banner. The Bible tells us that God never changes. He's the same today, yesterday, and forever. So we can remember that God is the God of victory, that God sees us no matter where we're at, and God will always provide our every need. When we know who God was, we can have faith on who he will be in our lives and in the lives of those around us.